I really hate the word process. I really feel, I always say, I'm not a cheese, I have no process. I think that there's been so much mythology and overthinking about acting that has been sort of supplanted on top of the world of showbiz that it has ruined it. Obviously, if there's something I have to do, if a character has to be able to do sign language or speaks, or whatever, or if they have a certain job that I don't know how to do, obviously I research that and I learn that. And I research things, but mostly when it comes down to it, I just pretend to be someone else and mean it. And that's not that difficult. And it's very much like kids playing. I always go back to the idea of play, like, actors used to be called the players, and in French they're called les joueurs, and it just means you play. And when you look at a kid when they're making up characters, and if they pretend to be a dinosaur, they say, I'm a dinosaur, and you go, whoa, gosh, yes, your breath is so fiery. That's it. And that's all you need to do. And I just feel that especially in America, this over-mythologizing of acting has really made people very selfish sometimes in their performances. And they've forgotten that it's a collaborative thing. It's not just about you. All I try to do, aside from learning anything that is relevant to the character, I just kind of let it soak in, I think about it, and then when I arrive on the set or in the rehearsal room, I just engage with other people and just try and play and, be authentic and be this person, let this character come into me and just do it and not overthink it. Overthinking is the biggest crime in acting. I got started in acting, I suppose, at high school. I had this nice, supportive English teacher called Mrs. Law. She had a drama club, and I did a play in about third year or something at high school. I think she saw something in me and really encouraged me, and I wasn't a very confident teen, and I just think it was really that. And I realised when we did the performances that I was quite good at it, and it really genuinely was the first thing I'd ever been any good at. And then a girl who was a few years above me at high school had gone to the academy, to the conservatoire, as it is now, and I found out she'd done that. And after school, I thought maybe I'd give that a go. So really, that was it. And then when I graduated from the academy, I just started working, and I've never stopped. It's annoying. I mean, it's annoying for people who I get asked, how did you deal with your struggles and how did you deal with your periods of unemployment? I don't know. There's various things I look for in a role or a project. In a role, it's a very gut thing. I mean, everything about me I find is difficult to describe and kind of quantify. It's not just the part necessarily, it's about the project or the people I'm working with. It's just something I feel like I want to do this. And there's no kind of set rules. A lot of it has to do with I want to do something as different from the thing I've just done. That's quite a big component of it. But often it's just like things that challenge me, but then it can also be things that I feel like, I'd like to go to this place, I'd like to work with this person, I'd like to earn some money. I have a very holistic idea of why I do my job. But if I had my druthers, it would be roles that I feel have something to say, have something that I agree with socially and politically, and also sometimes are roles that I feel I maybe can't do. I did this movie called Any Day Now a couple of years ago, and it was it's a little indie film, but about a gay couple in the 70s who try to adopt a Down syndrome child, and it doesn't go well. It was a kind of style of person that I didn't really feel that comfortable with. I had to be a drag queen at the beginning. It was lots of areas I didn't really feel I would be very good at. But I did it because I really thought the film had something to say and was really relevant, even now, because in terms of adoption. And I just sing a lot as well, which, I sing, but it was just a lot of things that I wasn't very comfortable with, and I sort of dove into it, and it turned out really well. And I'm really, really glad I did it. I'm really proud of it. And also, I didn't know what it'd be like working with a Down syndrome person. I didn't know what that meant. And actually, it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. Just, he's this boy called Isaac, and he made me remember what I liked about acting and what was important. You never know how another actor's going to be. You never know what day they're going to have had. You don't know what's happening in their life. So I always try to just, like with any interaction actually, to go into it kind of with an open heart and an open mind, and just kind of see where they are. Just try and be open. Always try and be open in whatever you do, and especially with other actors, because I think I'm quite a secure, kind of okay person, and most actors are, and most people are, but there's often people you get who are not, and you just have to try and make them feel good and make them feel, and be kind. Just always be kind. When I first started doing The Good Wife, I really was so out of my depth, because I'd always done films or plays, or if I'd done a TV series, it'd be like here, where it'd be a finite, you'd have all the scripts before you started. And in America, you don't, and I had one script and I started, and 6 years later I was still at it. And the thing I didn't like was this idea of not knowing what was going to happen to the character, because normally in a film you know where the story's going, so you can sort of do certain things in a scene or in a play that kind of plant seeds, and so you have to, in a funny sort of way, you have to give it up when you're on a TV series. You have to trust the writers. And I can understand why that would be a difficult concept, because there's a lot of bad writing out there. But in The Good Wife, there was excellent writing. So after a while, when I got over it, that I was not so nervous about it, I really began to enjoy that thing of suddenly they'd say, "Oh, you've got an ex-wife," or "Oh, you used to be a concert pianist," or all these kind of plot points they would suddenly give me. So that's the biggest thing between doing films and plays and a long-running thing. It's just this lack of knowledge of where it's going. That part of it I actually began to really enjoy. Completely the opposite way of how I was when I first came into it. So there's a lesson there. The thing about working with Stanley Kubrick was that by the time it took so long, and it was so laborious, and it became like this joke of how many times I had to audition for this tiny part. But ultimately, it was so great. I really got on with him, and in a funny sort of way, I'd been doing a lot of films and kind of had got a bit bored of acting, to be honest. And doing that one scene with Stanley for a week, that literally is, would in a normal film or a TV show would be done in half a morning or a morning. With Stanley, it kind of re-excited and reignited my love of acting, and the idea that there's so much, everything is so multi-layered, and there's so many things you can discover. And every time we came to do it again, which was many, many times, I always understood why, and I always understood what we're trying to achieve, and it really excited me again. He really excited me again about acting at a time when I was a little jaded. And also I really liked him. I expected to be terrified of him, and expected not to be able to have any conversation with him, and we actually had a really lovely relationship, and even after the film ended we kind of kept in touch, and it's a very precious sort of experience for me. The thing I think that's really important about how you collaborate with the director, how you approach that idea, is that it is a collaboration. You are an equal with the director. You're all, everyone in that room, in a rehearsal room or on a film set, should be, in my mind, equals. And if you give the director all this power, they know all the answers. He or she is this God, and they're only going to tell you what to do. Then you've kind of diminished yourself and your role in the whole thing. And actually, I think a great director, if you ask them a question and they don't know, they say, "I don't know." And then they say, "Well, what do you think?" And they become a sounding board for you. You become an inspiration for them, and the whole thing kind of grows. And it should be like a little, flower that you're bringing to blossom. I see other actors do it, and they go, "What am I thinking here?" And I want to slap them. I really do, because you obviously must be thinking. You know what you're thinking, but just don't be such a wuss. That's what I would say to actors in terms of don't let directors boss you about. They are your collaborator, not your boss. I wish I'd known that it was much easier than everyone tells you. I wish that I hadn't thought you have to put all this stuff on top of yourself and hide yourself and make it much more complicated than it is. And I wish I'd known that actually the more you let yourself come through and just be simple and true and honest and authentic, that's what people connect with, and that's how you will connect with an audience. When you're 17 or 18 and you're playing a 45-year-old man in some Alan Ayckbourn play, then obviously you think, "Oh, I better shove cover myself and all this stuff. But actually, real acting is about connecting with an audience. You're telling a story, but you're connecting with an audience, and the less muck you have between you and them, the better it is. And it's all it is. It's only connect. Thank you. Do you get that, boys? I have a tattoo made for every interview I do, just to end it in that way.